I think there's so much change and different things and scenarios happen in day-to-day life that can be quite anxiety ridden, right? And that cognitive dissonance, and that allows for us to feel stress and anxious. I think just to take yourself away from that, and a lovely it's another beautiful form of escapism, music and film watching. And I think just to go through the favorite songs, favorite films to watch and rewatch is such a calming thing to do. And I think after a long, busy day at work, right, it's one of my favorite. Just stick on a film you love and adore. It's beautiful, man. And I think it's such a lovely way to, yeah, just relax. And I think essentially when we're talking it in the context of 12 Rocks, Rock 8 music is that it is a calming thing to do. It is a regulating thing to do. So I just think when you are feeling stressed or up against it, just taking yourself out of that and escaping in a healthier way than drink, or those sorts of ways that we can escape that aren't healthy. I think it's a really powerful and, like I said, emotive thing to take yourself into.
Hello and welcome back to One Break at a Time. I am your host, Adam Wright, your very achy host, but we'll come to that in a minute. And I'm joined today, as always, by the wonderful and very crisp today, Mr. Andy Feist. How are you, Andy?
I'm very well, man. I'm crisp, as you say, man. It's
very crisp.
I've got a new laptop and it's beautiful, and I'm
It's lovely.
just fully in love with it. Unless you count this morning, which was an absolute shambles. Apart from that, it's been smooth sailing and easy breezy. But
there's been some tech support problems this morning. Let's say that.
And I think that's on us, mate, because we very smugly said we hadn't had these tech issues before.
We did.
So that's on us.
Well, it could be me being the curse.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the reason why is because we've been joined today by fellow AYP Coach Hannah Swan. Join us today for our special episode. And the only day that you join us is the day we have mad tech issues. So I am going to blame you. It's all your fault.
I've come in.
How dare you?
I've come in as the saboteur, and that is how it's going to be for the rest of the
pod. We've been complaining for the last few weeks. I think it's worth pointing out about how little sunlight there's been. But now this morning we're complaining about how much sunlight there is, because it's so sunny that Hannah's wearing sunglasses.
I know. I need a bit of interruption so I don't look like an egg.
And I did say that I can do some magic in the post-production, but I cannot de-egg people. So we've had to take drastic action to de-egg Hannah in the live version of the recording. But yes, how was everyone's weekend? We were recording this on Monday morning. How did everyone? You said you had a fun weekend fact, Hannah, for us.
Well, actually, I found something out about giraffes that I was amazed by, because I was thinking, I was on the bus the day before and I saw 3 emus off the side of the bus. So I got started. I started thinking about
Where are you on the bus? In the UK? Where are the emus?
Between Eastbourne and Lewis, which is in
Famously.
Sussex. If anyone wants to know. Yeah, so I got started thinking about long-necked animals, and I thought,
as you do,
how does a giraffe need to double, triple swallow to get things down? Because that's going over a meter.
Unbelievable point.
That is a great question.
And then
is it one big hop and it just sucks it down?
I don't know, but what I did find out, so giraffes are like cows, and they've got the 4 sections of their stomach.
Okay.
And like cows, in order to digest the grass, they'll swallow it a first time, then they'll essentially sick it back up, chew on it, and then swallow it again
in their throat.
It's called cud, but it sounds vile, but it'll probably be quite sweet because the bacteria digests it and it releases all the sugar. But anyway, a giraffe will do that, so it will eat its leaves, and then there must be 2 systems, so one where it swallows down and then one where it comes back up. Giraffes are huge. Cool. They're born 6'6".
Yeah, like me.
So
Loads of Peter Crouches running around.
Exactly. That's
But
mad.
how's it getting back up?
They've got some
Is
kind of
what I'm
I'm
wondering.
imagining like an escalator. You've just got the left side goes down and the right side goes
Mm.
up, and it just like rotates around.
Hannah,
That's
let me tell
mad.
you,
And
that is
they
a good. That is probably the best fact we've had on this podcast.
That's
So
definitely very impressed.
you've
I
managed
mean,
to out eclipse us in the first 8 minutes.
hey, yeah, slow
Eclipse,
down, Hannah.
is that another shaved head joke?
It's very bright. It's very bright. Yes. And we come here for your brain science. You come here for a little bit of neuroscience, but you get giraffe facts. I mean, what is not to like about this show?
It's all going on.
It's all going on. But yes, I just want to come back to what I said in the introduction about why I'm achy today. I did do Brighton half marathon yesterday. I'm just waiting for my applause. Thank you.
Always give you your dues, mate.
Here's my medal.
Beautiful, man. That's nice.
Well,
that.
we were trying to work out what it is.
That's
and
a
it's
great
with-
question. I've not.
We think
I've been
it's just
surprised,
one of the
you know.
houses on the seafront, which is like cool, but not
Yeah,
particularly
it's
iconic,
like-
is it, for Brighton? It's just like, if you saw that, would you think Brighton?
For
don't think
listeners,
so.
it looks like a naff seaside hotel.
It does, and Brighton is nothing but naff seaside hotels. To be fair to it, bless it. So, excellent.
Well, congrats, man. You absolutely smashed it time-wise.
I did all right.
How are your feet looking?
I've got Brighton Marathon. My feet are looking fine, actually. It's my calves they're not friendly today. They're not very nice. They don't like me. But I've got Brighton Marathon in literally 5 weeks, and I've not done enough training. So I did a half in a decent amount of time. So that's and anyone who's run a marathon has had the realization it's a long way. I did half of it yesterday, and I thought, man, that's half. It's such a long way.
Wow.
It's just such a long way.
Savage.
It's a
man.
mental game, isn't
It's
it?
a mental game. It's all in your head. And you know what else is all in your head? Your brain. And that's what we're going to talk about for today. What a segue. Okay, so today we wanted to bring Hannah on to talk about one of our most important rocks, I think. It's one of my favourite rocks of well-being we talk about. The 12 rocks of well-being. We've referenced them in a previous episode, but we will continually reference them all the time, which is Rock 8, which is the idea that music and what music does for our brains. And very, very basically, music, when I work with me and Andy specifically work with primary school kids, when we work with primary school kids and we tell them that listening to music is really good for your brains, they light up and they're like, really? I can't believe it, because it's so fun. And it's one of those things where one of the reasons that it is good for you is because it kind of feels good it feels good, and kind of lots of what we talk about with the rocks of well-being is this idea that making our brain happy makes us feel happy, and it's like as simple as that. Okay, but if we dive into the neuroscience a little bit of why music makes us feel good, and there's a complication to music which we'll obviously come to in terms of not always making us feel good, but that's also a good thing. But if we drill down into it, your brain is constantly making predictions, okay, constantly making predictions about the world and testing them against the models it has for the things it's done and experienced in the past. Okay, so right now your brain is running on models. If you are commuting to work, you have built a model for this route to work. If it's you get the train or you drive or you get the bus, you've built a model for this kind of thing in your life. And as you go through and experience life, your brain is constantly creating a new prediction based on incoming sensory information. If the bus is a few minutes late, your brain is having to rapidly update that prediction and test it against that model. What music allows our brains to do is practice and enjoy creating and recognizing patterns and models, but in a very, very low stakes environment. It's not going to cause that much anxiety from the songs. Obviously, music can make us feel a complicated mix of things, but at a base level, no one's been extremely stressed out listening to music. But it does allow our brain to test and predict and enjoy recognizing patterns and recognizing the features of songs in it allows your brain to partake in its own hobby in a chill way that's not going to stress you out, if that makes sense. Because lots of the thing that causes stress is a thing called cognitive dissonance, which is the difference between the model of something and the reality you are perceiving. So it's that stress. And when our brain realizes that the sensory information we are receiving about the world is different from the model that we've already built for it, our brain basically floods our body with energy so that we can puts us into our sympathetic nervous system response, so we can fight, flight, freeze, run away from it, attack it, or deal with it. And obviously that's not always very helpful. But what music allows us to do is practice that prediction.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense in there, because what soothes us is having things that we can follow and things that we can expect. but they're like that. What music does, especially listening to new music, for example, like there's this fine balance between familiarity of like things that we recognize and can expect, but then there's also novelty, this newness, and like that has evolutionary benefit. If we, the brain works to like, it feels comfort when things are familiar, but it also has this seeking aspect where you need to explore, because going back to like hunter-gatherer roots, if you are too like familiar with a space, it's like you might exhaust all of
Yeah.
the like food options, for example. So we have this innate wanting to like explore and find newness.
I think what you both said and brought to the table there was spot on, right? And I think just to add to that, as an extension, right, when we watch films, that the films that we love and have strong associations with and are quite emotive to us, they often can be the things that we just watch and rewatch all the time for the same reason, right? It's the comfortability, the familiarity. We don't always, I think there's so much change and different things and scenarios happen in day-to-day life that can be quite anxiety ridden, right? And that cognitive dissonance, and that allows for us to feel stress and anxious. I think just to take yourself away from that, and it's another beautiful form of escapism, music and film watching. And I think just to go through the favorite songs, favorite films to watch and rewatch is such a calming thing to do. And I think after a long, busy day at work, right, it's one of my favorite. Just stick on a film you love and adore. It's beautiful, man. And I think it's such a lovely way to, yeah, just relax. And I think essentially when we're talking it in the context of 12 Rocks, Rock 8 music is that. It is a calming thing to do. It is a regulating thing to do. So I just think when you are feeling stressed or up against it, just taking yourself out of that and escaping in a healthier way than drink, or those sorts of ways that we can escape that aren't healthy. I think it's a really powerful and, like I said, emotive thing to take yourself into.
And the
And there
reason
is
why,
neuroscience as to why it's so relaxing. So when
Sure.
you are dysregulated, essentially what's happening is your brain is firing in all different ways that isn't, smooth and coordinated. So when you have an external stimulus like music, it starts to synchronize firing patterns in your brain.
Mm.
And so, and like when, there's this analogy of like when your brain's feeling frazzled, it's like it's this cacophonous sound, like things are clashing, banging, and they're not playing together. Whereas when you feel regulated, at calm, in a positive mood, things are smoothly running like an orchestra. To use a music
I
metaphor
like
for
it.
this topic.
Very on theme. I like it. Good. No, amazing. Exactly right. And also, like, we talk all the time about, we did it in a myth busting episode a little while ago. Your brain localizes is where you're currently. Like, if you looked at a brain scan when someone is really worrying about something, their localization of their neural firing is in a different part of their brain to when they're doing a different task, for example. And what you just said, Hannah, is exactly right. Is that when we listen to music, we are literally shifting kind of where a bunch of cognitive processes are happening from maybe those anxious circuits at the front of our head to a different part of our brain, which will result in us feeling less anxious because our brain is now processing the patterns and the recognition of those patterns in that music in that different way. And you could build on all of what we said so far. I think one of the most amazing things about music as well is that everyone has like fully different music tastes. Like I think that when we talk about some of the rocks are fairly, like whilst there's degrees of difference to each one, but like eating healthily, for example, that probably looks fairly similar for everyone. Just eating a variety of fruit and vegetables, eating a variety of different foods. Everyone needs to do that. It's kind of a universal thing. But with music, it is so unique and it's so different. And I thought it was a good opportunity for us to talk about like the music that we like and talk about the kind of the gap between, because some music would not calm me down. Some music I would not find a relaxing, chilled experience. And that might be music that you guys listen to and then vice versa. So I just think it's one of those things where it's really interesting that the actual different people's brains, because everyone's brain is unique, everyone's brain is diverse, have different reactions to the same
Yeah.
music. You know, like I find that endlessly fascinating. If me and I listen to the same song,
Mm.
we might have completely different reactions to it.
It is, and I just it shows how unique and individual we all are essentially, and the same way you have different responses to films and TV, and I just think the deeper meanings of every song that we listen to and how we interpret it and how we will digest it is so varied. Yeah, it gives us a wonderful excuse now, doesn't it, to talk about different songs and what we're into,
Always
mate.
take the opportunity.
Let's do it, baby. Let's do it. Why not?
Go on, Andy. You go. You hit us first, then. Once he's already here.
So, as a way of like, I've got two things I want to say, right? And the first is, I watched The Greatest Showman the other day.
Oh,
All right,
nice.
I watched it for the first
I didn't
time.
expect you to be a musical theatre buff
Hannah, let me tell you, all right,
with shattering stereotypes over
that's all
here.
we do on this podcast,
That's
right?
what we do.
So I watched it the other day, right? And I'm not you can do some like shock surprise things on the screen ad that, yeah, thank you, man. I'm not a massive amazing. I'm not a massive crier. I'm not, right? I find as young men, it's not been taught and it's not been encouraged,
There was
and
no lesson
there
in
was no
crying, was
lesson in
there?
that. And so I think, it's something I've challenged and battled with as I've gotten older, just the acceptance that obviously I do feel things, and that's okay.
Mm.
So when I watched this Great Showman, I was in absolute pieces,
Oh,
man. I was
bless
like,
you. That's so
it
cute.
is such a,
Yes,
it is
cry! Come on, boys, cry! It's
Yeah.
great.
It's such a beautiful film, man. I was like, why is no one talking about this film anymore? Like, this is such
Didn't it
a
come out
great
like
film,
6
man.
years ago? It's
Yeah,
like
that's
old.
probably why. Yeah, I'm a bit late to the game, ain't I? But it was the music, man. That's what I'm saying. The music caused such a
Mhm.
immediate emotional response that like I couldn't
Mm.
actually explain. I sat here with my partner and she, are you all right? I was like, yeah, this music is just doing something to me, man, that I just can't explain. Um, when it's just like power, it's just like you get the goosebumps and you all feel a bit like, oh, what's going on here? That's how I felt,
Amazing.
man. And it's such a hard
And
thing to.
that's is so important. And it's like sometimes, yeah, like, because I, as a woman, even I like haven't been in touch with crying until recently,
For
but
sure.
sometimes you do need this stimulus or push to like then so there's an emotional regulation part of music, and it's like this
Mm.
whole body physical feeling, and it's like nice
Yeah,
to, it goes to sort of show that it's like your brain cannot be thinking in the same way as it was if you're listening to music, because yeah, your brain is just this flurry of electrical signals bouncing about, and so if you then have different inputs, it's changing how your brain is firing,
for
it's
sure.
changing how you think. And that also paired with what music is also great for is like refining motor skills.
Mm.
Even if you're not a dancer, I am a person that says, if I don't dance in a day, it's a bad day. I'm a dance every day sort of person. But even if you're not, there's the rhythmic tapping
Mm.
Yeah.
of like your foot, like you're nodding your head, and that again is causing new firing patterns that
Mm.
associate with movement. And
Oh, it's so
movement is
interesting, man.
so important to process emotions
Yeah,
as
for
well.
For
sure.
sure.
For wellness and just sort of, I think, yeah. And it was just, those experiences don't happen often, and it's just when it catches you by surprise, and you're like, oh my, and I think those outpouring of emotional outbursts as such, right, is important because they're not planned, they're not expected, and it was so pure and so like
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to happen, man, and it was just like, oh, um, I just think it's so important just to like just to experience those
Yeah.
oh man, it was nice. It was nice.
Amazing.
Royal
I just
Carter.
want to really congratulate you, Andy,
Thanks,
because
Hannah.
boys do cry, and it's important to share these things. And
Exactly.
guess what? It's a normal part of
Yeah.
life. And
And I think it's so much, yeah, exactly. It's so much of what I'm trying to encourage with my online clients and the work I'm doing with them and a lot of lads from 16 to 18, and just trying to get them to understand that like you're gonna feel things, you're gonna like they do, right? And there's just such a wall there. It's like, no, I don't. What you on about? You're chatting a load of waffle. I don't feel things. Of course you do, man. Because everyone does.
Yeah,
Because I would have been the same when I was 16. I don't believe, like, shut up, I'm not talking about it. Of course I felt things. You're
bottling
more
something up
suppressed.
bottling something up is, the surefire way for it to come out in different ways. If you squash
Anger,
something down,
aggression. Yeah.
it's going to come out in another way. And if you just know the benefits of crying, like it releases endorphins.
Yeah.
Like lads, it's like, so it's on par with going to the gym. Have a cry.
For sure. Yeah.
If the feel good feelings.
So I should have done that this morning instead of going to the gym. That would have been far more interesting.
Yes. Stuff your half marathon. Just have a sob.
Well, yeah. Honestly, that would have been far more useful for me. But I think in the same kind of way as Andy, I'm not really a crier. I'm a well-upperer. I well up, but I don't. Crying's not really my thing. If I have more than one tear, I'm good. But but music does it for me, and to the point where sometimes me and you need a cry. Like we've me and Andy talked briefly about before about how I've had quite a difficult 12 months. Just not going to go into it, but sometimes I'm like, man, I need a cry, and I will go onto a specific song because I know every single time that it will make me cry, and it makes me cry every time, and it's like even though the song isn't necessarily what I'm feeling right now, I know the song makes me cry, and it makes me cry every time, and then it's like, and I feel better after it, and that is so profound and powerful. And actually, like talking about this yesterday, like I at the end of this half marathon, so I'm 17k in a half marathon is 21k. I promise this is relevant to music. I changed over. I was listening to podcasts. I changed over to music because there's a few songs that I really like. I would say they summarize the feelings I've been having for the last year. And I was like, okay, I've got some energy in the tank. I'm just going to blaze the last 4 kilometers here, listening to these songs and get all of the energy that I've had to retain in, all of this worry and thought, and it just burst out on this last bit of this race. And it was just such a profoundly cathartic experience. Of like, you know what, I've got energy. I'm just going to run to this music and play it literally like overwhelm my head in my headphones because it's like, and all of that, because I was then summarizing all of the pain that I was in that moment physically, because of all the running and this kind of go fast is obviously very painful, and all of the pain of emotionally the last year and just all of that into the last, and I felt such a release. I feel so much better because I did that, and it's like, and that the music allowed me to harness it in a way that I wouldn't have been able to do idly thinking about it, listening to a podcast. And I owe such a debt to those songs. And like, I saw my favorite band play my favorite song last year, and I just started crying. The whole song. And I recorded the whole song on my phone. I know people shouldn't film concerts, but like it's my favorite song. Every time I play it, I cry just because I don't know. It's just it means so much to me. That song and that album and that artist and that moment of like. That and it's profoundly important, and I think that's an important part to kind of raise about music as well, is that we talk about music making you feel better and calming you down, but it also allows you to articulate emotions in a way that you cannot necessarily articulate themselves.
Sure.
That's what my favorite music does for me. I feel something. It's sometimes quite hard to link emotions to, like we talked about this thing called emotional granularity, which is linking an emotion to an event, an action, something that's happened, or a thought you've had. It's sometimes quite hard to link those two things, but music gives me the language to do that, and lots of the music I listen to is quite sad, and it gives me the ability to link, to just kind of bathe in that feeling, to understand and give voice to that feeling I'm feeling inside, and then it also gets it out, as you said, like, and that is such a profound thing to talk about music, because lots of music makes you feel really happy, lots of music makes you feel really, really down, and that is, both of those things are really good. So
and it's not that you need permission to cry, but sometimes it helps.
I feel like at the end of this podcast, we don't have to do it yet, right? But I think we have to give the listeners each a suggestion of a song to listen to, right? And
that's good.
Your meaning behind why things are important. But sorry, Hannah, go on. Explain what sort of music you're into.
Oh my gosh, that's why I gasped, because I would not know which route to go down, because I am like I need variety in my life.
For sure.
So all right, so absolutely love a bit of reggaeton, which is like Latin American sort of islands, And like Dembo, which is also a lot of like sort of imagine pelvic sort of boof, that sort of swishing. Swishing is not the
Pelvic
word.
swishing. I'm into that too.
I love drum and bass. I love drum and bass. I love classical music. Oh my gosh, there's just I could not narrow it down to any
I'm going to go
song.
from your list, pelvic swooshing, because that sounds fantastic.
Pelvic
I'm going to get
swooshing.
into that. I'll get
Oh
some
my
pelvic
gosh,
swooshing.
right. I'm gonna have to have a little search to
You are.
Do you have a pelvic swooshing Spotify playlist? It's
Oh
for the
my
pelvis.
no, all my playlists are I can't see, I get bored if it's the same. So
For sure.
every like I love belly dancing music. You know, Arab music is oh.
See, I think this is why you've been such a wonderful person to have on this episode, Hannah, because me and Adam are not talking about belly dancing.
Exactly.
Yes, I like alternative rock. So go on, Andy, other than musical
Yes.
theatre, which you live and breathe.
Well, I'm obsessed with like I call it chilled rap, right? I don't the heavy stuff and the aggressive gang violence that I, you know, so easily relate to growing up in Sussex, right? It's I think
Yeah.
it's I like the chilled, yeah, quite. I think in a word you could probably call it, elements of it are quite depressive and starkly upsetting, but I think a lot of it, Loyal Kana, right, is the artist I always refer to when I talk about chill rap, and he's just like has such a way of connecting, as Adam said, that emotional granularity stuff, which is I can't explain how I feel. This geezer's rapping about how I feel, man, and I just think that's such an interesting thing. And he's just got a lovely voice, man. And it's very conversational, his rapping style. So it's lovely backing, lovely music behind it, but it's very conversational, a lot of it, and it's very nice, and it's just very soothing and calming to me, man. But that or Michael Bublé. There you go.
Oh my gosh, thank God I'm here. Thank God I'm here.
Yeah.
But, oh gosh, yeah, speaking of rap, female rap, come on.
Yeah,
come on.
Too right,
and anything for me is just like beats.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I absolutely. I do love smooth as well. I do. As,
nice.
You know, yeah, speaking of chill rap, Dave.
Sure.
Excellent example.
I had a phase, right, and this is of just listening to like piano remixes of like popular songs,
cool.
right, and just the piano versions of them, and it was wonderful. And then I moved into like this. Has anyone ever heard of, right? And this is niche. This could be niche. Ever heard of like lo-fi beats, like lo-fi?
Yeah.
Lo-fi. All right, Adam.
I thought it was lo-fi. Lo-fi, like the shoe.
I'm going to say lo-fi.
Lo-fi, that's probably more ska, which is like upbeat reggae.
Okay, so I would listen to like lo-fi chilled beats and jazz saxophone.
Nice, nailed it. No notes.
I had to giggle as I said it because I said it so wrong. So it's and
you
I
get
just
the smoothness from your music.
Yeah, no, it's so evident, isn't it? Right. But I listened to it as I sleep. 12-hour like continuous videos on YouTube, and I just listened to it whilst I slept, and it was lovely, and it is proper calming, man. And yeah, that's me. That's probably lovely. My Spotify story in a nutshell. Go on, Adam, man, you got to wrap us up, man, with your stuff, dude.
So I like pop. I like guitars. I want to say just like, just to my main claim to fame here is there's a lot of really, really big pop artists these days, right? And that's a good thing. I am very good at picking them up early doors and being a fan of them from day one. So I don't know if you've heard of this woman, Olivia Dean. This like won every single Brit over the weekend, right?
Yeah.
She's like everywhere, and she's amazing, right? I have been a fan of Olivia Dean since like 2018. Okay, I went to a tiny gig of hers in Bristol in 2023, and I reviewed her for the university student paper that I was at, and I've been at there was like 100 of us in that room, and I was there, and now she's like selling out the O2 and selling out Wembley.
I can't believe she didn't thank you in her speeches.
Honestly,
how rude of her.
Where's my gratitude, Olivia?
I'm so glad you brought up Olivia Dean, because in light of the recent Brits, a song that I was going to recommend is actually an Ezra collective song that features Olivia Dean called No One's Watching Me. Now, so that sort of ties in. It's like a lot of upbeat brass.
As opposed to downbeat brass.
Well, obviously smooth. It's just got, they're so Ezra Collective is brilliant.
I've actually heard of them, Hannah. Are you proud of that? I've actually heard of Ezra Collective, man.
Well, I thought I'd refine to more I'd go of familiarity with a bit of novelty rather than going down to the depth of Siberia where some of my music.
That's a lovely suggestion, man. Adam, go on, big man. What's yours?
I would say, okay, well, there's a new Noah Khan album coming out, and Noah Khan is one of the best songwriters of I think ever who has ever lived and who will ever live. His new song, The Great Divide, on the album The Great Divide, is unbelievable. So that's definitely worth a listen.
Beautiful, man. I'm gonna go Laurel Kana,
The Greatest Showman soundtrack.
Yeah, honestly. You joke. I've listened to that in the motor so much in the last 2 weeks, man. Honestly,
so cute.
Tearing down the M27 with "This Is Me," you know.
Yes.
I'll go for Laurel Kana, Navy Blue, Purpose. Great song on album Purpose. It's a wonderful, wonderful song.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to make a little playlist with those 3 songs on. The one someone to subscribe to, I guess. But yes, thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much, Hannah, for joining us on this episode today.
Thank you so much for having me. I've loved
it. Thank you as always, Andy, for being wonderful.
Pleasure as always, gang. Pleasure as always. Lovely.
It's like an angel just floating in heaven. Look at
and that is how I feel about Andy. That is how I feel about Andy.
Blessings.
But yes, and thank you. Obviously, we want this a conversation now between 3 of us. Haha, look at that, 3 people now. But we want it to be a conversation between us and you. So please email the show at adamwright@aypuk.com. The email is just on the screen. Also, please follow us on social media. You can find all these links in the show notes if you're listening to the episode on podcast. But you can also watch full episodes on YouTube. Come see our faces, see how we're doing, and check out Hannah's. If she managed to avoid looking like an egg, which I think you did a good job. Well done.
No. Oh gosh, no. Well, that's the vote.
No, I'm going to make an audience poll. Amazing. Thank you all for listening so much. Thank you, and we'll see you all next Monday.
See you later, guys.